Welcome to another How Good Is Today Masugitsune's Viking Happy Fun Time with Olga and Gunhild. We're gonna start with Olga, and I can tell you right now, if you're just in here for the quick bits, okay, you're just in here for the small stuff, the TLDW is that both Olga and Gunhild have like sort of swapped what their element is supposed to do in Kimochi. So in Kimochi, Aqua types are supposed to do Magia and Doppel, while fire types are supposed to do Charge Blast. And they've kind of done the opposite now, and because of that, neither of them are good in Kimochi, and neither of them are good in ranked mirrors. So that's kind of the TLDW. But let's actually go into what they're doing. So we have Olga, who has 4 blast discs, 1 Excel discs. Spoiler alert, there's not going to be a single charge disc in this entire video. She's an attacker, and even though I say that she's an attacker, out of the 2 characters that we're going to take a look at today, she's going to have the less attack. Her personal is a passive that gives just whatever she wants to do, which is blasting and getting blast MP up. So we can already see that she's going to be a very straightforward character. She's a blaster who wants to gain blast MP up, and her personal is exactly that, with a bit of Aqua attack up, which doesn't really matter too much. I mean, this could also just be an attack up, and yes, I know that Aqua attack up has a different pot when it comes to caps than normal attack up. But if you're actually desperate enough to use her personal over Beta Memoria, then you're probably not gonna cap normal attack up anyway. But let's actually continue with her kit. Her connect is Blast up. Who could have guessed that a Blaster's attack up? Damage up, well, of course it does have damage up, as well as some Aqua attack up. And this is basically the entire thing that we're going to see for the rest of this entire review for Olga, is hey, she's a blaster who likes dealing damage, and she gives Aqua attack up. That's basically the entire rest of her kit. I could just stop right there and you would know what this character is about. But let's look at her Doppel. Okay, it has attribute strength from damage to all enemies, which means that she's a damage dealer, at least when it comes to her Doppel. She buffs all allies who could have guessed Aqua attack up, and then a bunch of defensive stuff that doesn't matter. And then she also gives herself regenerate MP, which, sure, that's nice, especially on someone who is a damage dealer, at least when it comes to using their Doppel. Regenerate MP is okay if it's only to self. It's better than not having it, okay? Like, if she had another defensive effect on here, that would be kind of terrible. I mean, she is an attacker after all, and of course, as an attacker, you have defensive abilities on your Doppel. But it's okay, because in a second we're going to see a defensive character that, of course, would not have offensive abilities on her Doppel, right? Seriously, they switched the Doppels around for these 2 fucking characters, what the fuck? Whatever her spirit enhancement, she gets blast MP up, which we just saw from her personal as well, and she gets an additional blast MP up for the first 3 turns of battle, meaning that on the first 3 turns of a battle, with her passive, with her timed passive, and with her personal, we're getting 4, plus 8 is 12, plus another 3, that's 15, that's 15 MP. Right, so if you're hitting 3 targets with every blast disc, that's 45, and then another 45 for the second blast disc, that's 90, and then another 45 for the next blast disc, that's 135? 135 MP that you can theoretically get in a single turn? On turn 1 even, if you hit 3 targets with 3 blast discs from this character, that sounds pretty darn good. And since she is attribute strength from damage, that sounds pretty good as well, right? And she also buffs herself, and I guess other people as well, with more damage. That sounds pretty alright, actually, doesn't it? Well, yes, it actually is pretty alright. But it's not as powerful as the actual other, like, Doppel Magia DPS options in the, on the Aqua element. So, yeah, like, Kaede and Rina, for example, they just do more damage as a Aqua Magia unit. Mayu, I think, even does more DPS as an Aqua Magia. I think there's someone else as well that I'm kind of blanking out right now. But if your goal is to just do Doppel DPS with Aqua units, there are better options out there, and she doesn't quite slot in there, especially because if you're playing a Doppel team at some point you need to actually get to doppel. And it's okay that Olga herself can get to doppel by blasting. But how the fuck is anyone else on her team, if you're playing like a doppel team, gonna get to doppel if she has only 1 Excel disc and 4 blast discs? Let's say you play together with Mayu, for example, or Kairina. How are those two gonna get to doppel? I mean, if you're playing Kimochi, you could slot her in on the 2nd and 3rd battle, but is that worth it? Because she only gives herself MP, and in order to Magia Chain, you kind of need to give everyone MP, so she doesn't do that, meaning that she can't actually Magia Chain. So, yeah, she kind of doesn't fit into Kimochi, sadly. If you have no other Aqua character that is good at Kimochi at all, then yeah, I guess you can absolutely use her in Kimochi. But if we're talking about whale strategies, no. Just the attack up and defense up and ally die switch on Kimochi, or like in most content, doesn't fucking matter. She actually buffs everyone with Aqua attack up for the entire battle, which that's actually pretty good if you're playing a full Aqua team. But since we just said that she's probably not going to be used on Kimochi, that kind of doesn't matter. And she also gives blast damage up. Now, hearing this, you might think to yourself, well, hold up. Especially with this doppel and with this ability, couldn't I just put her in at level 1, have her doppel, like 5-star level 1, have her doppel, and then die immediately? So she gives everyone the 15% attack up, and then another 40% from down here. That's 55% for the entire team. And I don't remember if that Kimochi does debuffs, but if it does, this helps. Wouldn't that be pretty good? And I say, yeah, that actually does sound pretty good. But I mean, I've talked to people who actually do the like whale strats for Kimochi, and they said that no, this character does not fit in there at all. So I assume this is already something that has been taken into consideration and just doesn't fit into the whale strategy. But if you're not playing the #1 whale strategy, maybe you could use this. Maybe you could use this like a level 1 sacrifice with doppel on turn 1 during the 2nd or even 3rd battle on Kimochi. Maybe, I don't fucking know. Who knows? I'm just saying it's not strong enough to actually make her useful in most cases. She has passive Aqua attack up. She has blast draw, which is so useless in a lot of cases. Not always, right? Now let's keep that in mind. But I want to tell you something. If you are playing a blaster, especially someone who has 3 blasters that are in the same direction, the #1 and #2 use cases that come into mind are #1, solo mirrors. Oh, solo mirrors with a blaster like this sounds pretty good. But the problem is, if you're doing solo mirrors, you are missing an active. If you look at Aniyachi, for example, Aniyachi has an active that makes her do more damage. If you look at basically any other good blaster character, like Mokyu, for example, I think Kimochi Rabi as well, I don't actually remember her active. They all have active abilities that just make them deal more damage or make them survive a hit or something like that. That just help them do solo mirrors. This does not help you in solo mirrors. Lastro doesn't fucking help you in solo mirrors. But okay, let's say you're not doing solo mirrors with her. Let's say you're doing, what is the other thing that you use blasters for? Oh yeah, PvE farming. You're farming events. Well, if you're farming events, like PvE battles, you're not going to use your active. So the active is also, once again, useless. But then again, every active would be useless right here. But that's just because she's a blaster, okay? Well, what else are they going to use her for? If it's not Kimochi, if it's not a ranked mirror, if it's not normal mirror, if it's not PvE farming, I mean, you can use it for PvE farming. There's just other options out there that are also really fucking good, and you can't do more than one-shot the enemy. If you one-shot an enemy, there's not more that you can do. You can have more blast discs, yes, but the weird part is, and I can't believe that even just 3 years ago, or like 2 years ago, I would say this, but there's already a bunch of characters in the game that have 4 blast discs, so it's not even special in that sense. What else is there? There's 100 Evils. On 100 Evils, since she buffs almost exclusively Aqua attack up, you would have to play Aqua teams for her to be really good. But why would the fuck would you play an Aqua team on 100 Evils when there's enemies with so many different kinds of enemies, of all different kinds of elements? You're gonna run into forest enemies, and then all your Aqua buffs sound fucking stupid. So that kind of doesn't make sense. Also, your blast rotation, if you're doing 100 evils, you're not gonna hit that many targets at once, probably. Usually only 1 or 2 with your blast salutations. I mean, there's waves that have only 1 character on the enemy team. What are you gonna do with your blast salutation, especially after 3 turns when you lose most of it? That kind of sounds kind of bad. Okay, what else do we have? We have Witch Paradox, like Paradox Extermination or whatever. Is that good? I mean, yeah, I guess you could actually use her for that, for the Fire Witch. You put her and then an entire Aqua team against that enemy. But if you are doing the extermination battles and you already have a good Aqua team, you don't need another character. This is the thing about extermination battles, is that once you have a good team for an element, you don't need more. So I guess theoretically you could roll for Olga, specifically for the use case that you don't have an Aqua character for the Fire Witch or the Fire Enemy on extermination battles. Theoretically, you could do that. Or you could spend your rolls more wisely on literally any other fucking character. Let's talk about her Memoria that is on her gacha. It's basically just tailor-made specifically for Olga. It gives blast up, it gives damage up, it gives aqua attack up. Now, if you're any blaster, getting 20% damage up or 50% blast damage up sounds actually pretty darn fucking good. Like, this is actually something you can just stick on any blaster, even if they're not aqua typed. But especially if they're aqua typed, they're gonna do really well with this. I'm thinking mostly of Aniyachi. Like, Aniyachi is gonna do really well with this Memoria. Outside of that, of course, Olga herself. But outside of Aniyachi and Olga, there's not that many characters that I would say, like, hey, they really need this Memoria. Like, sure, you have normal Yachio, you have even Asuka, Nanaka, like there's a lot of low rarity Aqua Blasters as well. But if you're playing a low rarity character like that, you probably already have better characters, because you're rolling for this gacha. If you're rolling for this gacha right here to get this Memoria, you're gonna have an Olga. And if you have an Olga, just stick this Memoria on Olga. Don't stick it on your normal Yachio. Don't stick it on your normal Asuka. If you're rolling on this gacha, because then you're going to have an Olga and stick it on the Olga instead. You kind of see where I'm coming from? And outside of that, there's not many characters where this really makes sense on. Now, I talked a lot about this character already. It's been over 10 minutes. But here's the thing about Gunhild. Basically, everything that I've just said also applies to this character. And I know that the last time I did 2 characters in one video, which it was Tsuyu and Chizuru, I said basically the entire same thing. Like, oh yeah, everything that I've just said about this character also applies to that character. But it's kind of, it just is the case right now. It just is the case. It just, with Tsuyu and Chizuru, they were both like tailor-made for their specific kimochi, while in this case, both Olga and Gunhild were both tailor-made to be the exact opposite of what their kimochi needs. Both of them are like that. So we have a character who is an Axel character, a little bit of blast, like an Axel blast hybrid, balance type, who is really defensive in both HP and defense and has more attack, quite a lot of more attack than the attack character. Get fucked, Olga. I guess I can talk about her personal look. It's Excel Draw, which is actually pretty good on a 4-turn cooldown. But let's see how important that's gonna turn out to be. Her connect give attack up and flame attack up. Yeah, of course it does. Give flame attack up because Olga also did that. And then the doppel is addable strength and damage to all enemies. Wow, she can be a DPS. And look at that. Even though she's way more defensive than Olga and is a balanced character, look at those fucking buffs. Those buffs are kind of really good, actually. Sadly, the damage increases only to self, as well as the damage up. But that said, it's damage up and damage increase to self for a combined total of 70%. That's a fucking lot, man. That is so much. I mean, it's only for 3 turns, but that is a lot. That is actually a lot. Especially with the attack up and flame attribute attack up. I don't think any other character in the game buffs themselves as much as this character. I don't think anyone else gives as much like damage potential to themselves as this character. And they still give a bunch of buffs to the entire team too. So that's kind of crazy. That said, and this is where I have to kind of get you guys down a little bit. Since she is about flame attack up, like she gives flame attack up on her connect, she does it on her doppel. She gets it on her, not passive, but on the gacha where I'm going to talk about this immediately right now. On the flame kimochi, you play charge blast strategies. You play Charge Blast. So if you're playing Charge Blast on her Kimochi, you're now playing with a character that has 3 Excel discs and has Excel Draw. That doesn't fucking work. Okay, so once again we have a character who does sound pretty okay on paper, who just isn't made for the Kimochi, but it's okay, because Kimochi is not everything that we're gonna do. But before I talk about the rest, let's actually talk about her spirit enhancement. Most of these buffs are kind of simple, like a bit of Magia attack up, attack when ally dies, which is pointless, anti-Magia seal, sure. And here's the actual important ones. She regenerates 70 MP when the battle starts, so she can immediately, especially if you get an Exile combo, and you can get an Exile combo with your Exile draw, immediately catapult yourself towards a doppel. And with your doppel, you can immediately start buffing, so that actually sounds pretty nice in that sense. And then you also give the entire team Magia, Flame Attack Up and Magia, which is basically the same buff that Olga did, just instead of for blasting, and for Aqua, it's now for Flame and for Magia. Okay, and then her active is actually giving herself more damage for one turn, which basically just means that once you have catapulted yourself to your first doppel, you can immediately use this, or you can wait until your second doppel, if you can get a second doppel within 3 turns, to be even more powerful. But probably just use it for the first one. I think that's usually better, because you never know what happens. You never know if you can actually get to a second doppel within 3 turns. So with all of that said, what does she actually do? Well, she mostly just uses Excel discs to get herself to doppel to buff her own damage, and she can blast a little bit in between. Like when she's not actually accelerating and doppling, she can spend some time here and there using some blast discs. But once again, the Kimochi, you kind of want to go all in on Charge Blast, and she can't go all in on Charge Blast. What else is there? Well, she's not gonna be good for ranked mirrors, because you need specific gimmicks for ranked mirrors. She doesn't have specific gimmicks. She doesn't even have charge discs, and you actually kind of need charge discs for ranked mirrors. And if you don't have them, you better have some other gimmicks. She doesn't have any other gimmick other than that, so not good enough. But then we also once again run into 100 evils. For 100 evils, well, she buffs Flame Attack up, so once again you have to play a Flame team, which is bad, but she also gives other buffs, and you could use her other buffs, so you could actually play her in 100 evils. She might actually be pretty alright in 100 evils. I mean, this is only for battle starter, this is only for 1 turn, so she doesn't really get much use out of it, and this is only Flame Attack up. But I guess you can take the market damage up for the entire battle in 100 evils, right? And she does really good damage, even though it's attribute strengthened, simply because she has really high market damage up and really high fucking normal attack. In fact, and I need to keep saying this, she actually has the highest attack in the game right now. Before SE? Maybe even after SE, I'm not quite sure. Either before or after SE, she actually has the most attack in the game right now, which, yeah, balanced. Fucking balanced. Balanced my ass. So yeah. I guess you could take her into 100 evils, but you would be missing out on a bunch of her kit, because you're probably not going to play a full flame team. So some of her connect and some of her doppel just gets wasted. The other thing is, well, once again, you can use her for paradox battle, like for the witch examination battles or whatever. And yeah, you can play her against that witch, against the forest witch. But here's the thing, specifically on that boss. The forest boss on every single extermination battle can be soloed for Tsuruno. That has always been true. Every single battle that I can remember, every single event we had the extermination battles, you could just solo the forest witch with a Tsuruno. So you don't ever need another fire character for extermination battles. Therefore, what are you doing with Gunhild? Yeah, so once again, she kind of doesn't fit into what you would expect her niche to be, and there's nothing else to really use her on. So to bring it all to a point, both Olga and Gunhild are characters that are made for game modes that don't exist yet. And that's kind of all that I have to say about it. The one last thing though is her gacha memoria. It's the exact same thing as Olga. Look, there's more output, MP gate up and market damage up, and look, there's more elemental attack up, flame attribute attack up, which once again, the first 2 effects are actually pretty okay, they're pretty nice, and if you don't have another good Memoria that has these effects on it, you can totally use this Memoria even on someone who isn't a flame character if you want to buff their output. But if you use it specifically on a flame character, it's going to be great. And I have to just say, this is an absolutely fantastic Memoria for the best unit in the game, Alina and Karin. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell. See you guys next time.